Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, we're going to learn one of the most valuable skills, that is web scraping. And web scraping is a very essential skill to have, especially if you're someone who processes and analyzes large amounts of data set. All right, so your ability to actually get a data from different sources and put them together and analyze to achieve a better insight is actually a great skill to have. All right, and we're going to learn how you can actually do that in this particular tutorial. Okay, so sometimes you might be working on a project where you need data from the web, and it will be difficult to even download that kind of a data because not all the data are in a format that you can download. Okay, so sometimes you really want to scrap the data straight away from the website and then perform the analysis on that. Okay, so web scraping is the essential skill that you will need in that regard, and Python even makes it easier when it comes to extracting data from the net. Okay, so we're going to learn this valuable skill in this tutorial, and we're going to see some of the very useful libraries such as BeautifulSoup, Request, Selenium, and then Scrapy. Okay, so let's get started by getting familiar with these libraries. So we're going to see an example in this tutorial where we're going to extract the data from the web, and then we will analyze the data so that when you encounter this situation in your real life projects, you will know how to go about it. Okay, so let's get started. Now, under normal circumstance, when you go to your browser and you're browsing something, what you do is that you type in a keyword, and then you get a result out of the keyword that you have typed, right? So what happens is that when you type the keyword, you're making a request to a certain server somewhere, right? That contains some information, which that information is going to be extracted and then returned back to you, right? So that is the request that you are making. Okay, you're making a request. So for instance, if I go to my browser here and then I type in say I type in web, right? I type in web scraping, right? If I type in web scraping over here, now as soon as I press enter, it's going to make an HTTP request, right? So if I show you this URL that you have here, right? So you can see in this URL, right? Over here, you can see that we have HTTPS, so it could be HTTP or HTTPS. So you make an HTTPS request, which is going to get the data back to you, right? So this information that you're seeing on this page is actually residing on a certain server, right, which is going to be returned back to you. So it's a request that you make and it gets back to you. So similarly, we have a library in Python called request, which is going to make an HTTP request and then get back to you with the result, right? So that's basically what request is going to do. It's going to make an HTTP request, and then the result is going to be returned back to you. Now, one disadvantage with the request is that it only gets you the information that you want, but it cannot really extract the information out of it, right? Because when it gets the information, it's going to be an HTML form or an XML form. Okay, so what you want to do is that you want to be able to extract this information from the HTML or an XML form, right? So that's when BeautifulSoup actually comes in. Okay, that's when another library called BeautifulSoup actually comes in. So what BeautifulSoup is going to do is that it's going to extract the data that you have the data that you have extracted using the request, right? It's going to extract the data from the HTML or the XML document that you have. Okay, that's what the BeautifulSoup is going to do. But what it can do is that it can only retrieve or parse. Normally, that's what the term that we use when it comes to web scraping, right? It can only parse the data or retrieve the data from the HTML or the XML, right? But it cannot retrieve it from the web page itself, and that's when you need to use it together with the request, right? That's when you need to use both the libraries. That's the request and the BeautifulSoup. Use the request to send a request to send an HTTP request and then get the data, and then use the BeautifulSoup to extract the data out of the HTML or the XML form. Okay, so that's what these two libraries are going to help you to do. Now, there's another library called Selenium, right? So originally Selenium is not built for web scraping. However, you can configure Selenium to do web scraping, right? Now, if you're using Request and BeautifulSoup to do web scraping, one of the disadvantages is that most of the modern web pages use JavaScript to render the pages. That is, it uses the JavaScript to dynamically populate the pages, okay? And most of the libraries like Request, right, cannot actually execute the JavaScript code, so that makes it difficult for you to extract the data from those pages, right? And that is when Selenium comes in, right? Because Selenium can actually execute the JavaScript code, right, which will help you to extract or get the information that will be populated by this JavaScript code. One of the disadvantages of Selenium is that it's a little bit slow as compared to, say, request, right? When you're making HTTP requests, I mean, Selenium is a bit slower, right? So but if speed is not your concern, if speed is not your concern and you want to get the information that will dynamically be populated using JavaScript, then Selenium will be a good tool to have. Okay, another one that you can actually use is what is called Scrapy. So Scrapy is one of the sophisticated Python libraries that you can use when it comes to web scraping, right? So normally you're going to combine 2 or 3 libraries to do the web scraping. Maybe you use requests to get the data, you use the BeautifulSoup to pass or extract the data. Scrapy can do all of that at once for you. Okay, it can do everything at once for you. You can scrap the web, get the data, right? Get the data, pass it, or you can download the HTML, pass it and process it, okay, and then save it in the CSV form ready for use. Okay, so Scrapy can, I mean, do all that for you. I mean, it's quite sophisticated, right? It can handle cookies, which sometimes it becomes difficult to I mean, handle using the other spiders. Okay, but Scrapy can do all of that for you. And one of the biggest advantage of this is that when you're using Scrapy, you can make multiple HTTP requests in parallel, right? You can make multiple HTTP requests in parallel. Other libraries make you do this in sequence, right? You can, I mean, send one HTTP request one at a time, but when you're using Scrapy, you can do this, I mean, in parallel. Okay, so I mean, Scrapy is mainly built for web scraping. All right, so you can make use of that as well. And a document, I mean, there's a whole documentation on Scrapy that you can go through and then I mean, master it. All right, so we're going to see an example of these libraries that we've gotten introduced to. That is Scrapy, Selenium, BeautifulSoup, and then a request. Okay, so let's start with BeautifulSoup and request. As I said, when you're using the request, you need to use it with BeautifulSoup, right? And BeautifulSoup alone cannot do web scraping. You can use it together with the request to make requests from the pages, then use BeautifulSoup to pass the data or extract the data. Okay, so we're going to see how we can actually do this. All right, now there's an important thing here that you need to note. Right, there's an important thing that you need to note. Although web scraping is an important skill to have, and it's one of the efficient ways to get the data ready to make any analysis. However, it's important to note that I mean, some companies regards web scraping as illegal. All right, so when you're performing web scraping on a certain website, you need to first read their terms and conditions and see if they allow web scraping. Right, sometimes they can even ban your ID, and sometimes to an extreme extent of suing you in a court. Right, so you need to be careful when you're scraping in a particular site that you're going to perform the web scraping. Okay. Having noted that, the other thing that you can, I mean, take note of is when you're making any, when you're doing any web scraping, you need to first spend time to examine the page that you're going to make a request or that you're going to scrap the data from, right? So for instance, in this case, we're going to extract data from Wikipedia. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we will first go to Wikipedia and then examine the page, right? So let me go to my browser here. And over here, I'm going to go to Wikipedia page, right? So I'm going to go to Wikipedia, right? I'm going to go to Wikipedia, and then after I get to Wikipedia, I'm going to search for something over there. All right. So now over here, this is Wikipedia homepage, right? So I'm going to search for something. So let's say we want to search for artificial intelligence, right? So if I do that, right, it's going to render the page. So in this case, I'm making a request, right, an HTTP request, and then the page is going to render for me over here. Now I need to study the structure of this page and notice something, right? I need to study the structure of this page and notice something. Now if we go up here, you can see that here we have a title, right? We have a title here. We have some table being rendered over here. We have another word which is bolding over here. We have some sidebar over here, right? We have some table of content here. we have some head. We have another session here, right, with a session header. We have some image over here. If you go here, we have another session with the header here. We have another here, and then inside this session we also have some subheadings in there, right? We also have some subheadings in there with some images. Okay, so this is how the page is being rendered. The other thing that we can do is that we can just right click anywhere, right click, and then go to inspect, right? You can click on inspect over here. Okay, so that we have the source page of this one. You could have also see the source page as well. In this case, I'm using inspect over here, so I can just inspect this one from the back end of this page. Okay, so for instance, if I want to see this basics, right, I can click on this arrow over here, right? So if I want to see, say, the basic, I'll click on this arrow here, right? I'll click on this arrow here. So you see that we have this arrow here, right? So I'll click on that arrow, right? I'll click on that arrow. So if I click on that arrow, then I put my cursor here on the basics, click on that, it's going to show me where that code is. Okay, so here you can see that we have something here. We have you can see that we have span class, and then MW headline, right? And then we have the ID to be equal to basics. Okay, so that's where it is. And then we have some tag here. So in HTML, what we do is that we use tags, right? That's tags means that, so you see the less than sign, right, and then the greater than sign, and then you see something inside. So there's something, could be anything else, right? It could be, say, it could be P, right, standing for paragraph, or it could be, say, or it could be, say, H, right, standing for heading, right? So for heading, it could be H1, H2, H3, right? H1 makes it, a bigger header. H2 makes it smaller, smaller heading or subheading. Okay, so there's these tags that HTML uses, right? So if you're not familiar with it, HTML uses tags. Okay, and that is what you need to look for, right? You're looking for tags so that you can extract the data using that tag, right? Because when you're doing the web scraping, that's the thing that you look for. You look for the tags that contain the information that you want, okay, so that you can use the tag to extract that particular information that you're looking for. So for instance, you can see that this one is an H2 tag, right? H2 tag is standing for it's a subheading, right? The main heading is artificial intelligence, but this is a subheading, so the artificial intelligence is going to be H1 tag, but the basic here, right, the basic here is going to be in H2 tag, right? So that's what you know. That's what you see over here. So if I want to extract this basic, I have to go to H2 tag, right? I have to look for H2 tag so that I get it. And it's in span, right? Inside H2 tag is in what is called span class, right? It's in span class. So I will look for this span class, and then specifically the span class name is MW headline, right? So that's what I will look for, right? And then the ID over there is basic, so that I'll be able to extract. So if you need to first get to this gate, which is H2, right? H2 tag. Before, inside that gate, you can get to the second gate, which is span class. Okay, so that you extract the information that you want, and that's what you are going to do in this tutorial to be able to extract this data, right? And that's what you do in the real world. Okay, so that's what is happening over here. For instance, now we see that this one, if I want to see this challenge over here, I just click on that, and you can see that it's in H2. It's also an H2 tag as a subheading, and you can see that it's also in a span class. So if I want to extract all the subheadings, I know that they are all in H2 tag, right? And they are in a class called MW-headline. Right, so I can actually get all the subheadings out of this span class, a MW-headline, right? And if I want this one, if I want this one will be an H3. You see that this one is under H2, so that will be an H3 tag. See where it is, right? It's an H3 tag, right? Reasoning, problem solving. You see where it is over here. Okay, so that's actually inside an H3 tag. Okay, inside an H3 tag. So that's how you inspect the page and see where the information you're looking for is located, so that you can actually use that tag to extract the information. Okay, if I want an image, right, if I click on this image, I'll know where this image is. So you see that this image is actually is in this IMG tag, right? It's an img tag. So if I want to extract the images, I will look for img tag, right? Let me look for another image and see where that image is. So for instance, if I want to see this image, I click on that image. You see that this one is also in this. It's also in this img tag. Okay, so if I want to extract images, I will look for img tags. If I want to extract the subheadings, I will look for either h2 or h3 tag, right, depending on the particular subheading that I want. All right, and if I want the links, right, if I want the link, for instance, if I click on a link, like this, you see that the link is in the a tag, right? HA and then href tag, right? That is a reference tag. So it is actually present in this p tag, right? And inside the p tag we have the a tag in there, right? So I know where to get to, and then I mean the first gate to get to, and then after I get there, I can actually get the a tags, which contains all the links for me. Okay, so that's how you actually study the page first before you move on to do the scraping. Okay, so let's get to our notebook and see how we can use this information to extract the data. Okay, all right, so before we start, what we need to do is to first install the libraries that we're going to use. So first we're going to install request, right, because we're going to use request to make the HTTP request. Okay, so I'm going to do pip install, right, pip install request. All right, okay, then I'll run this one over here. All right, so since I already have it, it's going to show me requirement already satisfied. But in your case, you have to, if you don't have it, you just can run it and then you get it. Okay, I'm also going to do pip, right, pip install. Then I install what is called BS4, right? BS4, which is nothing but the BeautifulSoup 4. Okay, so that's the version 4, BeautifulSoup version 4. Okay, so I ran that one. So I've already installed this one as well. So it's showing me request already satisfied. All right, now after we have installed this library, so what we're going to do is to import this library. So I'm going to import request, right? I'm going to import request. Then I'll also import the BS4 that we just did. All right, and then after that we're going to also use pandas, right? We're going to use pandas to be performing this manipulations on our data. So I'm going to import pandas as PD. Okay, so that's the 3 libraries that I'm going to use so far. All right, now after this is done, now we can make a request to the page that we want. Okay, so I'm going to do request, right? I'm going to do request request.get, okay, request.get, and then inside here is where I pass in the URL that I want to send. So you can see over here you need the URL and then some other parameters that you want, but in this case we're just going to need the URL. So let me get the URL from this page that we're examining. Okay, so I need this URL over here, that is the artificial intelligence here. Then I put quote over here, then I put it inside. All right, then I'm going to store this one in a variable called I can just give it a name, maybe our data, right, something like that. So let me run this. Now this is done, right? This is done. You can see what is inside this our data, right? So if I do our data dot test, right, if I do this then and then I run this one, right, now you see that this is what we have, right? This is what we have. We have the page over here, right? So we've been able to get the page. So this is just everything that you need to extract. So we've been able to extract the entire page, right? We've been able to extract the entire page. Okay, so if you go back here and then you right click here, and then you go to view page source, right? If you go to view page source over here, now this is how it looks like. So this is what we have extracted, right? This is what we have extracted. This is the source of the page, and this is the same thing that we have extracted over here, right? This is the same thing that we have been able to extract, right? This is the same thing that we have extracted. Okay, this is the same thing. So as simple as that, right, using request. Okay, now we've made the request, we've gotten the data. Now this is the time that you need BeautifulSoup to actually work or extract the data from the data that you've used request to get. Okay, so we're going to actually convert from object of type request to object of type BeautifulSoup. Okay, so let me show you how we do that. That is, we're going to be able to extract the data using BeautifulSoup. So I'm going to use BeautifulSoup, right? And then inside that, I'm going to pass in our data, right? I'm going to pass in our data, and I'm going to .test, so that I'll get whatever, like the same thing that we did to get this page, right? We use our data.test. So I'm going to pass in that, and this time you need to specify the format that you want, right? Whether you want it to be an HTML format or you want it to be an XML format. So I'm going to use XML over here, right? You can also use HTML, right? And I'm going to store it in a variable called let me make it say BSP, right? Something like that, right? So that it will not conflict with BS4, right? So just a variable name, you can just name it anything that you want. So if I run this one, right, so this is done. You can also see what is inside this BSP. So if I run it over here, and then for you to see. Right, so this is going to contain everything that we did. Now you can see that this one is more similar, right? This one is more similar to the source page that we're having, right? This one is more similar to this page, right? It's rendered it in this form, right? So which is making it more readable, unlike the first one that we're having it in this form. Okay, now it's the same, this is the same thing, but this time it's not a request form, but it's in a BeautifulSoup object type. Okay, so the next thing that we can do over here is that we can now do a lot of stuff with this BS4 object over here, right? For instance, we can select the titles, right? We can select the title. So let me do it over here for you to see. So I can do our data, which is BSP dot select, right? I can do that. Then inside the select, I just want to select the title, right? So I can put in title over here, right? Then maybe I will store everything in let me do this. Maybe I'll store everything in a variable called titles, right? All right, so if I run this thing, right, that is done. Now if I show you what is inside this titles, right? If I show you what is inside there, right, this is what is going to happen. Now you can see that this one comes with the tags over here. That's a title tag, right? It comes with a title tag. That's why over here, when we specify the title, it's actually going to give us the one that is in the title tags, right? So if we had specified that we want the H2, right, it's going to give us the ones that are in the H2 tag. Or if we specify A3, it's going to give us the ones that are in H3 tags. Okay, so let's maintain it to title over here. All right, now we can extract just the title without the tags, right? In that case, we can use the get text function, right? So I can do titles, right? I can do titles over here, and then since Python is going to use the indexing, I'm going to use the 0 over here. Then I do the .get get text, all right? Then if I do this thing and then run it again, now you see that we have only the title but not the tags. All right, so that's another thing that you can actually do, right? That's another thing that you can do. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we can do over here. Now, maybe I want to extract all the titles in there, right? So if we go back over here, if we want to see the title over here, if I click on say history, H2 tag, right? It's in H2 tag. Inside there we have class, then MW headlines in there, right? I can use H2 to get that, or I can use the class MW-headline to also do that. Okay, so let's see how that is done. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to use our variable, which is BSP, which contains all the data that we have scraped from the site. Then I'm going to do .select, right, to select some stuff in there. Then inside here, I'm going to maybe get the H2, right, the H2 tags, and then let me actually store this one in maybe a variable, right? Variable called say title. Let me just name it something, title class or something like that. Okay, so if I do this, if I run this one over here, right, then I check what is inside this title class that I've created, right? Let me come here and paste it here. If I run this thing to show you, Now you see that we've been able to extract the H2 tags, right? Those in H2 tags. So I can extract maybe those in H3, right? Or the ones in H3. I can also do that. All right. So now you see the ones in H3, right? You've been able to, so you can see, if you see the tag over here, right? If you see the tag over here, they are all H3, right? H3, 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 right? You can see that we've been able to extract that. So that's basically what you do. You inspect the page to see where they are located, the information you're looking for is located, so that you can extract that equally, right? You can also use this one, the MW-headline, to also do the same thing. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do over here is to get the titles individually, right? To get the titles individually. So let me see what I can do. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go through all these, right? All these things that we've gotten. So this is the H3 one. So I'm going to go through all of them and then get them one by one, right? So for that, I'm going to do this for I in our title class, right? For I in our title class. Okay, for this one, so that is for every item here, right? For every item here. So I is going to represent every item here, right? What I want to do is that I want to print it out, right, without the tags. So for that, I'm going to do I.text, right? For every item there, I'm going to print the text out of that, right? So let me actually let me add the print function over here. Okay, let me add the print function over here. So if I do this, if I run this one, now you see that we have it over here. We have all the titles, all the H3 titles in there, right? So if I change this one from H3 to H2, right, to H2 over here, and then I run it, it's going to change. Now you see that these are the H2 tags, right? That is content, history, basic, challenges. So that's what is here, right? From content, history, right? So this content over here, then history, right? History. Then if you go all the way down here, basics, right? Basics. Then all the way down here, challenges, right? These are H3, right? These ones are H3 challenges. If you go here all the way here, let's see if there are any H2 there. Approaches, right? Approaches. If I want the H3, then it's going to give me this small subtitles in there, right? But we are using H2, so that's what you see: content, history, basic, challenges, approaches. So that's what is going to happen over here, right? Depending on the information that you want to extract. All right, so let's see. We can actually get specific title, right? So for instance, if I do titles, right? Titles, then inside titles, I'm going to select maybe the item at index, say 5. All right, then I do .get text, right? I can do use the get text function over here to get the specific item at index 5. So that one is 2s, right? That one is 2s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It actually starts from 0, right? The indexing will start from 0, so it's going to count 0, 1, right? 2 over here, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 that's 2s, right? That's what it's going to give me over here. Okay, so that's some of the things that we can actually do. We can as well use the span to achieve the same results, right? We can use the span. So for instance, we can do something like this: bsp dot select, right? Then inside this select, we can maybe use h3, maybe just something like that. Let's use h3, right? We can use h3, then span, right? Then actually run this one here. Now you see that it's going to give me everything that we've been able to do over here, right? You're just going to do the same thing for me. We can even select all the links on the page. So I can do for instance, I can do bsp dot select, right? Dot select, then I just select all the links on the page, right? So I can just do this as well. So if I run this, now you see that we have all the links, right? We have all the links. So all the tags with links is going to be selected for me. So you can see that we have the links, right? You can see that we have all the links over there. Okay, so I can do, I mean, there are quite a lot of things that we can also do over here. I can even get the images, right? I can get the images. So let me do that one. I can also do bsp dot select, right? And then I just pass in I just pass an img because that's the tag that contains the images. If you go here and you examine the image, so if you right click on this and you go to inspect, right, you realize that it's actually in this img tag, right? So I can get all of them using this img, right, using this img tag. All right, so that's what I'm doing here. So let me run this. Now you see that I have all the image over here, right? You see that I have all of them here. So we have so far used BeautifulSoup and the request to get this information. Now, what we can also do, I mean, in fact, there's a special package or library in Python that we can use when you want to extract data from Wikipedia, right? So there's a Wikipedia library there, right? So if you want to use that one, what you can do is to do pip, right? What you can do is to do pip install, right? Pip install, then you install Wikipedia. Okay, all right, so let me run this. All right, so now since I already have it's going to do requirements already satisfied, but if you don't have it, you just load it, right, whether for the first time or not. Now after you have installed it, the next thing that you need to do is to import it, right? So you're just going to import Wikipedia, right, and that's it. Okay, I'm also going to use pprint over here, which is going to make the output of this data more, readable. Okay, so I'm going to do from pprint import pprint, right? That's all I need. Now once I have this one, I can search whatever that I want to search on Wikipedia, right, by just doing Wikipedia, right, by just doing wikipedia.search. Okay, then I just pass in any keyword that I want to search at all, right? So maybe I want to search for, say, Python, right? So I can just do that, right? So now it's going to now show me all the pages on Wikipedia that is having Python there, right? All the pages that is on Wikipedia that is having Python there, right? I can search for different things. Maybe let me search for, say, machine learning. Okay, if I search for, say, machine learning, it's going to give me all the pages on Wikipedia that is having the title of machine learning. Okay, if I search for whatever we were doing earlier on, right, like say artificial intelligence, right? So depending on whatever you want to search, you can search anything on Wikipedia using this library. Okay, so for instance, if I want to go into a specific page, right, so over here you can see that we have several pages being rendered for us, right? We have this page, we have this page, we have this page, we have this page. So if I want to go to, for instance, a page with the title of artificial intelligence, just like that, just our first page, I can just specify it. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to bring this one here. Right, I'm going to bring this one here, and then I'm going to do Wikipedia.page, right? Wikipedia.page, right? So that I'll be able to actually get the particular page that I want. Okay, I'm going to do that. Then I'll specify that I want the first page, right? Because this is going to be in a form of an index, right? Python is going to use index. So the first one here is going to be index 0. This is going to be index 1, index 2, index 3, right? All the way to the last one. Okay. So if I want the first page over there, I can just specify over here to be 0, right? Then what I can do is this, right? I can do this one. So this one should give me the first page. Let me run this one and see. Okay, now you see that I have the first page, which is artificial intelligence, okay, which is this one. Okay, I have only the first page over there. All right, now I can search anything on Wikipedia page with the title of artificial intelligence, which is going to be the same thing that we've been doing previously, right? All right, so let me store this one in a variable called let me just name it as AI. Okay, so let me show you some of the things that we can actually do in our AI variable, right? Let me show you the directory of AI, and then you can see some of the things that we can do over there. Now, these are some of the things that you can do, right? There's quite a lot of stuff here. For instance, we can check the categories, we can check the content, the coordinates, the HTML source, the images, the links, right? Everything that we're doing earlier on, we can do all of them, right? We can check the sessions, right? We can check the summary, we can check the title, the URLs on the page. We can do everything using this Wikipedia library, okay? So let me show you some of them over here. So if I do, for instance, if I do AI.title, right? If I do AI.title over here, let's see what we have. Now you see that we have the title. So if you remember previously, we just have to do bsp.select, then we get it. But in this case, we can just do .title, right? We can also do say AI.summary, right? Let's do that, and let's see. Now see, this one is giving me the summary of the page, right? This is actually giving me the summary of the page over there. Now if you go here, right, if you go here and then let me close this, right? This is the summary that is giving me, right? If you read here, right, if you read it here, artificial intelligence into bracket AI is intelligence demonstrated by machines, unlike the natural intelligence displayed by humans and animals, blah 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 blah. It's just the same summary that is giving me over here, right? Artificial intelligence AI is intelligence demonstrated by machines, unlike the natural intelligence displayed by humans and animals, which involves blah 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 blah. So it's just the same thing that is giving me, right? So I can actually get the summary of the page. In fact, I can even get the whole content on the page by just doing AI.content, right? If I do .content, I can actually get all the page, right? Everything on the page, right? Let me double click here. So I can get all the things on the page, using the AI.content. So depending on what you want to get from the page, you can just use this AI to do it. You can just use this Wikipedia library to extract all the information that you want, okay? And if I want the images, right, I can just do AI.images, right? I can just do that. Now I see that I have all the images, right? So you just have to, I mean, if I just click on any of them, let me click on one of them here, you will see that. Now you see that it's this image. If you go to the page and see where this image is located, you see that is here, right? So it's this image that is extracted for us. Okay, that's the image. What you can do is to first do this part, right? Just install the library, initiate it, and then use this dir, right? Just check the directory of that, and then you can see the things that you can do. Then after that, you can just use your variable to be extracting whatever you want to extract, right? Based on what you have over here, right? So if I want to get all the URLs, I'll just go. I'll just do this. Let me go down here and show it to you. I can just do AI.url, right, and then run it. Now you see that I have the URL of the page, right? You see that I have the URL of the page. So I mean, depending on what you want to extract from the page, you can just use this Wikipedia library to do it. Okay, so in the next tutorial, we're going to scrap live data from an online bookstore and then perform analysis on that. So that's actually going to be a real life project that we're going to do. Okay, so it's going to be very interesting. So see you in the next tutorial. Have a nice day.